What is it like for you 20 years later to look at the landscape and how things have changed?
Yeah.
Has it affected how you approach the process of writing a movie, directing a movie?
Well, movies are really they're divided into two very distinct classes now. There's big budget movies, and then there's no budget movies. There's very little that sort of strands in the middle. It's hard to raise a little money. It's easy to raise a lot of money. But if you raise a lot of money, it comes with a caveat of big name actors, big name stars. And big name actors they're not necessarily good actors. They're just actors that draw a guaranteed interest from an audience. I like the frontierishness of the small film. I'm not committed to being broke or being poor or working on things for no money, but I'm in love with the process of discovery. And it's really hard to discover something where all the financial checks and balances have to be done. Frankly, it's impossible to make something really raw, new, inventive, and unusual when you've got bean counters around you at every step. And people just, the way the Hollywood machine works is, people are very concerned about what kinds of projects their acting talent is going to be attached to. So, they need guarantees. And of course, what guarantees can you give, So it's tricky.
You got to sell your soul a little bit to
yeah.
get that big
I mean,
budget.
it's a balance. My hero is Soderbergh. I mean, he's like, his whole career has been committed to the one for them, one for him. He does a big movie. He still makes them beautifully and makes them in an interesting way, but then he comes around and he does a film. Like, I don't know if you know this new film he did called Unsane. It's with Claire Foy.
Okay.
So he managed to take this incredible, quite famous actress who's the queen and the queen. She in The Crown. I mean, she plays a woman who's checked herself into a kind of rehab mental institution and then realizes she's being kept there against her will. So it's incredibly raw, unnerving sort of movie, and he shot it all on a cell phone. Like, he shot the. Wow. This is Soderbergh. He doesn't need to shoot on a cell phone. He can do whatever he wants, but he didn't want to make this big movie. He wanted to keep it small. So for Soderbergh, I mean, it was still $1.5 million, I think, to make the movie. But for Soderbergh, that's like art project, student film. Taking those risks. It's because it's hard to do. It's risky, right? To go and make something kind of could be perceived as amateurish, but going out and tackling an idea and discovering things about your idea, about the people you're working with, and discovering things about yourself and the world you're in, that's art. The artist has to be engaged in that constant dialogue. Or, what did Hitchcock used to say? He said, "I don't need to make the movie. Once I've planned the movie, it's already made in my head." And making it's kind of not boring, but it's sort of fulfilling the inevitability of these plans that I made. I feel the opposite about filmmaking. I think filmmaking is the most exciting when it is being discovered through the process of doing it. It's not about spending all this time raising money or getting this kind of affirmation from Hollywood agents, or I think, though, to make a living, you have to do both. I signed with a big fat agency in the US. I got my big money, well, relatively big money project that I have to keep moving along. But in the interim, I'm always doing, I call them back pocket projects, these films that are important to me, that I'm passionate about, but I don't get bogged down because they don't require this enormity of cast and financing. Like my German film. I mean, I made a film in Berlin for, peanuts with a bunch of Turks, Syrians, and Germans that you've never heard of in, I guess, 4 languages if you count English. And it was awesome. It was incredible. It was an amazing experience. It changed my life, it was just so great. I think our curse is self-confidence. I think we don't have a great deal of self-confidence in our culture, in our ideas. We should, because we're very well educated and we have a real understanding. We have one leg in Europe and we have one leg in the United States, and we have another leg if we're a 3-legged creature in the world, because the world keeps coming here, so we really do have a great perspective on the world. We should be more confident that our ideas are good and that we, have something interesting to say. I think we do, It's a shame that a lot of Canadian movies don't get seen. You know, there's one curse of subsidies, of financial support, but there's something about the safety net that sometimes gives you the ability to fail.
Yeah.
You can kind of fall and it's okay, and you need a little failure, and you need a little struggle, and you need a little anxiety to really discover who you are and to really know what it is you're passionate about and how you want to say it. So I think that sometimes when you can kind of step up and get a big grant and go out and just make whatever, and everyone said, yeah, it's good, it's fine, good job. You know, you need to know what it's like to struggle. Then it means something to you.
Other regards, I mean, you look at J.K. Rowling, who she put that book out and she was living in a car with her kids, and it took her a long time before Harry Potter became the overnight success.
Sure.
Jim Carrey, same kind of thing, rejection.
Yeah.
Do you think that there is a mentality these days of
I think it's not these days. I think we've always gone on about the discovery of someone and not taken into account all the hard work that went into it. You know, one day I'll make a really successful movie and people will talk about a new director, you know, and I'm laughing because I'm like, I'll be 70 or something, you know. The reality is,
have 60 films to say.
No, but they'll be like, oh, what have you done? I get this all the time, actually. You know, I go down to Hollywood and, you know, you're meeting with people and they're like, oh, have you made a film before? And you laugh a little bit, like it's just like, ah. But that's it. You can't expect people to know all this work that you've done. They're only going to know the thing that they want to know, which is that this one thing was amazing. You know, can you do that again? You know, and you're like, I don't want to do it again. I want to do something else. And they'll, well, we want you to do that thing again.
Yeah,
you know?
and that's why Meg Ryan could only do rom-coms.
Sure.
Right.
Well, and you know, and J.K. Rowling. I mean, how will she ever surpass Harry Potter?
She doesn't need to.
No, but that's just it. You know, you that struggle and that passion that goes into the breakout, whenever it happens, is hard to replicate. That's why I think people they talk about the sophomore slump, or you know, your second or third movie, it's not as good. I mean, think about what went into making that first film. How many years and the gestation of it. You know, it's hard to compare them. You know. I think everyone, every filmmaker, every actor, every writer gets better with practice. Practice coupled with the right kind of encouragement / criticism, which is very difficult to get.
Right.
You know, because sometimes you smoke the crack. You know, people say, "Oh, he's a genius. That was brilliant. You know, do anything you want," and then they just do, and no one calls them. No one says, "Hey, you know, this needs to be worked on some more." But you know. Hey, the market speaks, you know. That's why, I don't know, I think that you look at periods of cinema where directors were in these kind of clusters of creativity where they were interacting with each other and pushing each other. I think like, you know, training for your marathon, it's kind of nice to have people around you to support your ideas, to be encouraging but also critical. And I know for me in Vancouver, as a place I came to where I felt like there was a hub of these like-minded individuals, I find it really hard to see the same kind of community of filmmaking that once was here. It feels like a lot of people I meet young people, they want to get on in writing rooms because that's where the money is. You know, no disrespect, I get it. You don't see a sort of the kind of passion for independent cinema today that you did, in my opinion, you know, years ago. Right. Now I'm waxing like an old timer, but you know. There's a moment in the film where the actor comes in, he's meeting with the theater director, who's this grand old man of theater, whatever. And he's saying, okay, I loved it, I read it on the plane, like like the typical Hollywood actor, he's kind of, you know, read it last minute, you know, and then he's like, I got some notes, some changes, and the guy's like, but it's Chekhov, you know, it's like saying, you know, we're doing a Shakespeare play, well, I have some notes, I'm just gonna make a few changes. You're just like, what are you talking about? You know, it's so great, the way people are, it's so funny. Everyone's got notes.
Everyone's got notes.